While government is busy with the recapitalisation of hundreds of failing land reform projects, the acting Chief Land Claims Commissioner, Deloitte, told Parliament recently that almost 9,000 land claims are still outstanding nationally. There are, however, also projects which are successful. And for more about changing the land reform projects into successes, we're talking this morning to the head of Deloitte Consulting's Africa Business Unit, Omri van Zyl. Omri, good morning and thank you for joining us at AGRI TV.
Thank you, Tabo.
Now, you and your team have been involved with land claim projects as transaction advisors. What exactly is that and what role do you play in these projects?
Transaction advisory role for us means that we look at the transaction as a whole. We look at the financial viability of the transaction. Sometimes we look at the legal aspects of the transaction. We look at the farming specific aspects of the transaction. And I think for us, the mission is to see whether the transaction and whether the deal that's being struck would be a sustainable deal for the communities.
And what value do you bring into the process?
We bring a lot of knowledge and experience. So on the one hand, we have a lot of deep agricultural and agricultural economics experience. On the other hand, we have very good transaction advisory experience. So we can assist communities and the department and participating institutions in really shaping deals that would, I think, be sustainable and feasible going forward.
Sustainability is quite a major issue within the land reform projects. What is it that you do differently that makes sure that these projects are sustainable and profitable at the same time?
I think what I've seen in the market and in the industry is there's a lot of people with a lot of knowledge. I think what discerns the Deloitte offering is that we bring these things together. So we have, on the one hand, we have the practical farming expertise, which is really important, but we also have access to finance, financiers and investors. So bringing these two together creates a nice mold for these projects to be successful.
One of the biggest hurdles of these transactions, of course, conflicts between the beneficiaries. How do you handle and navigate that situation?
Tom, that's a good question. It's a very tricky situation because a lot of the beneficiaries are not very sophisticated in their farming approaches and in their governance approaches. So the first thing that we do is we communicate properly with them and we make sure that they're all on the around the same table and they all understand the vision of where these projects are going to. The next thing that we need to do is we need to tie the community into the specific farming operator and what they want to do. And I think once you have that match, your chances of success is a lot better.
You also play an active role in helping the beneficiaries choose a partner, investment partner, and mentors who are going to help them in the project. What would be your advice? What is the best way for them to go about doing that?
Tabo, it's definitely to choose an advisor or to choose a mentor that understands the farming concept on the specific land. The next thing is to get participating stakeholders of the area to assist them. And thirdly, to get government to support them. I think that's a very important part of the success of these projects.
What should they do if they want to develop the land? What are the processes that they need to go through in developing their land?
The first process is there's the technical aspects and then there is the softer aspects. For me, the first thing is, do they have the knowledge and do they have the expertise to actually farm the land with what they want farming? For example, if you take grains, do they have the specific expertise? The second thing is what we do is we do soil mapping of the farms. We look at the topographical and the climatological aspects of it, and then we try and match these two. And where they don't have the skills, we put mentors in place to actually help them develop these skills so that they can actually do this, harvest the grains, for example, and farm in a sustainable manner and create a recurring income for themselves.
And the soft skills?
The soft skills, there's various sources of soft skill training. What we do is we do facilitation skills for them. We do, in a lot of instances, people don't have the basic skills like numeracy and literacy skills, for example. What's very important is business management skills, because managing a farm is like managing a business. So the leader or the group that was selected needs to understand how these things work, how the finances tie into the farming operations, etc. And then basic communication skills we think is very important. And then basic farming skills, I think, is one of the most important things that we can teach them.
What is the best way for government or in these transactions in general that we can apply to make sure that the beneficiaries are empowered and that once transaction advisors like yourself are off the actual farm, the farms are sustainable and the beneficiaries can continue on their own?
I think what has been one of the challenges in land reform in South Africa is where there's a lot of beneficiaries, normally there's a lot of dynamics. So what we see is that the less beneficiaries there are, and the less farmers there are, the less conflicts there are. So if you have not a lot of beneficiaries, if you, for example, have 1 or 2 beneficiaries farming on a sustainable piece of land, because that's the other challenge, is that the land parcels are sometimes small and not economically viable. If you have that, the best beneficiary or the best farmer that could be on that farm with the right support, and I've seen that starting to happen in the department and in South Africa, then that process would be sustainable.
Omri, appreciate your time and thank you very much for chatting to us.
Thanks, Double.